Whether I'm watching way too much TV, getting horizontally cozy in planes, trains, and automobiles, or coping with my people-pleasing tendencies and an ongoing animosity that my cat has towards my newborn son, let's face it, I like neck pillows.
Oh, DiLisio likes things. All kinds of really cool things. He'll tug at your heartstrings about nothing at all. Oh, DiLisio likes things. He'll talk and he'll sometimes sing. But you bet your ass he'll shamelessly plug all of his songs. All of his songs.
Welcome back, one and all, to the DiLisio Likes Things podcast. My name is Mark, but I go by DiLisio, and, as you can tell, I'm speaking in a very cozy, soothing tone of voice, because I think that's just apropos to today's topic, which I will not reveal yet. Even though I guess you can just look at the title of the episode. No spoilies in the DiLisio Likes Things DiLisio verse, okay? Anyways, so yeah, weird voices aside, I hope this email found you well. And speaking of flat formalities, I thought I'd use this very opening monologue to kind of do something a little bit different that I haven't done yet, and shamelessly plug a new project that I myself got cooking separate from this podcast. So, as you probably know, I'm a musician, and I am very proud / excited / a little bit nervous, but / mostly excited to tell you that I, DiLisio, the music artist, have brand new music coming out. Yeah, I have a 4-song extended play, which is EP for the layman. Sorry, that was douchey. It's a 4-song EP called Nesting EP. I'm really, really proud of it. My very good friends Matt and Garrett helped me make it. The first single from the EP, Jillian, it dropped a little over a month ago. That was like early February. Then I dropped the second song from the EP called Glow. Okay, so we have Glow, then we have Jillian, and then those 2 songs with the final 2 songs from the project will all be released together on, okay, mark your calendars, they'll be released on Wednesday, April 3rd. Okay? Yes. Wednesday, April 3rd. And so if you like what you've heard from me so far, whether it's my music or this pod or both, and if you're also into indie, alt, garage, rock music, I don't really know what my genre is right now. I really don't know the difference between indie and alt rock anymore. But if you're into all those things, please consider pre-saving the EP. Wherever you're listening, if you go into the description of this episode, I will hopefully have posted a pre-save link to this EP. So click on it, pre-save it, and once the EP is released, you'll get access to it right away. And it just helps me with Spotify and Apple Music algorithms and playlist promotion and regular promotion, blah, 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 you name it. Pre-saving just helps me. Simple as that. So you might be wondering, what's this music about, DiLisio? You might ask. Well, I don't want to give too much away because I love listeners discovering their own meaning for themselves, especially for music that I've written. That's like the biggest compliment I can receive. But I guess the best way I can describe the Nesting EP without being too revealing is, all 4 songs were written, recorded, and finalized in the time period between my wife Beth and I discovering we were pregnant with our first child, and then having said child, then also attempting to keep alive said child, which we have succeeded with hopes of us raising them to manhood, which has been difficult. All of it has, but especially that last part. So yeah, pretty stupid description, but yeah, the songs cover the whole spectrum of emotion and intimacy, all the nuances. That's what I love about music. These songs are like, I guess you can think of them as like reciprocal stories about strain and then growth, about pain and then love, I'd say. So there you go. The Nesting EP, dropping April 3rd. Pre-save now and get excited because I am. Thank you so much. Okay, so with that plug out of the way, I'm friggin' pumped to get into today's episode. Let's do it. Neck pillows are an of the Lord creation. If a living nerd could be made inhuman and morphed into materialistic fiber, that nerd would come in the form of a neck pillow. God, I love them so much. And I don't just wear them on long flights or bus rides. I wear them around the house all the time. Usually after 7:30 p.m., I'm walking around the house wearing a neck pillow. Just ask my wife. I mean, you never know when I might need to plop onto a couch or onto my recliner, recline it all the way back until my body is perfectly parallel with the floor, and get comfy. You know what I'm talking about? They support my neck, They allow my neck to be cracked easily when I have a stiff neck. God, I love that. Especially since it freaks people out most of the time, which is the best part. But probably my favorite activity to do around the house while wearing my neck pillow is watching TV. Okay, so I know this isn't the most groundbreaking stance or hot take in the world, but I love watching TV. I love it. Too much, maybe? I don't care. TV is so good right now, guys. I mean, I like watching TV so much that all last year in 2023, I ranked all 20 shows that I watched last year. Now, to be clear, these are 20 newly released seasons of shows. So that doesn't count any of the episodes of like Mad Men or Hard Knocks or Parks and Rec. I also watched in addition. I mean, there's a lot of shows, right? You interested to hear what they are, my rankings? Do you? Huh? All 20 of them? Well, I thought so. So we're doing this Dave Letterman style. Hit it, Paul Schaefer!
Here's tonight's top 10 list. No, wait. Top 20 list. These are DiLisio's top 20 shows of the year. I mean, what a friggin' nerd, right? This will be fun. Number 20. Beef on Netflix. Steven Yeun and Ali Wong doing their best impression of my grandma driving home after getting trounced by her other 85-year-old friends after bingo night. Number 19. The Curse on Paramount Plus. Nathan Fielder doing cringe comedy? What a leap for that guy. Not. Number 18. Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. The only way Jason Segel can make Harrison Ford look this sincere is by forcing him to sit through the final season of How I Met Your Mother and making him beg for mercy. Number 17, Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. Two old white guy husband comedians and a beautiful young actress in her 20s constantly getting annoyed by them? What could go right? I mean wrong. Number 16, Lucky Hank on AMC. Bob Odenkirk was looking for his next vehicle after Better Call Saul ends, but the only vehicle he found matches the show getting canceled after one season. My grandma's 1998 Ford Tempo. Call back. Number 15, Platonic on Apple TV Plus. A cute me rom-com featuring an inebriated Seth Rogen getting fancied by funny, attractive little thing. How original. Number 14, A Murder at the End of the World on FX. A cold, chilly mystery box. Huh. Sounds like the name of my ex-wife's sex tape. Number 13, Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. Finally, anime featuring violence. Can't believe no one thought of that until now. Number 12, Righteous Gemstones on HBO. This show is basically Succession, if Succession featured more rich entitled white kids and even more dicks. Literally. Dicks. Number 11, Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. Yes, the show really went downhill in the third season, but at least I got to watch fake soccer, my favorite. Number 10, Justified City Primeval on FX Hulu. Okay, Timothy Oliphant, you're a great actor and an even greater talk show guest. So why don't you come back on this program and discuss why your daughter is such a bad actor? What? I kid. Number 9, What We Do in the Shadows on FX Hulu. Basically The Office, but with vampires. Next. Number 8, Barry on HBO. A hitman who wanted to be an actor never did get to reach his dream. You know, worse luck couldn't have befallen a nicer guy who assassinated about 100 people throughout the course of the show. Number 7, Never Have I Ever on Netflix. Like, oh my god, Becky, this, show about high school drama is, so skippable. Number 6, Fargo on FX. John Hamm doing what he does best, which is manipulate women on camera. Don't worry, he's a friend of the show. Right, John? I set him up. Number 5, The Last of Us on HBO. The last time I got infected by a mutating mushroom virus this bad was from my wife's cooking last night. Number 4, Poker Face on Peacock. What? That's a streaming service? Let me check my notes. Oh, that's NBC. We don't talk about NBC. Number 3, Succession on HBO. This show is basically Righteous Gemstones if Righteous Gemstones featured more rich entitled white kids and even more cocaine. So much cocaine. Number 2, Reservation Dogs on FX. Okay, so get this, right? A bunch of Native American children getting into trouble. They get caught. They realize their bad behavior is just a protection of their grief over losing their best friend tragically. They discover their true calling in life. They run away from home, only for them to come back and reconcile their emotions with loved ones, their deceased ancestors. I'm not crying. You're crying. They live happily ever after with like things. The reservations are off. And now for DiLisio's #1 show of the year, The Bear on Hulu. Sure, Jeremy on White is hot, but when do the Bears enter the picture? Come on, it's in Chicago, for Christ's sake. My dick is probably over here. What's going on?
Hi, I'm Roy, and something that I really like is handheld gaming. Not mobile gaming, not cell phone gaming, not gaming full of microtransactions. I miss the Game Boy DS days of playing video games. Just being able to have your favorite games in your pocket, and whether it was on an airplane or in the back seat, or, you know, my family was big into sports and they wanted everyone to be around to watch the Steeler games. I didn't care, but I got to sit there with my Game Boy or my DS and play that while everyone else was paying attention to that. So it was kind of a win-win for everybody. They left me alone and I got to do my gaming. And it's a nice way to escape. I still have my original DS, and I'll take it. You know, if we go on a trip, or I'm going to be in the car for a while, and not driving, obviously. It's great. It's comforting. It's escapism in your pocket.
Today's episode of the DiLisio Likes Things podcast is sponsored by... Okay, we are in the part of the episode now where I need a sponsor for the show. You might be wondering, why are you on the ground, DiLisio? This is a little strange. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Well, today's episode is all about neck pillows, as you have gathered at this point, probably 10-15 minutes into the episode. So I thought I would compete some neck pillows against each other. I have 3 of them in my house, and we're going to see which one's the best, and whichever one is the best and makes me the most comfy, as you can see here, then that one I'm going to endorse. And that one is going to be the product that's going to be my commercial for the show that are not going to pay me money, but maybe, who knows, maybe someday. Okay, so I have 3 neck pillows. I have a Brookstone neck pillow with beads inside, standard kind you usually get in an airport. And I have 2 Nap Fun neck pillows. This one is an older version, about 5 years old or so, and then this one just came freshly in the mail just yesterday. We're going to try each one out on my comfy beanbag chair that I have here. We're going to see which one's the best. Here we go. I'm going to start with the Brookstone beaded one. Put this around my neck. For those listening, I am sitting on the ground right now, and I'm getting extra cozy. Okay, this one's decent. I wear this a lot when I watch TV, because that's really hard work, as you can tell. The thing I like about it is that it's easy to maneuver and stuff. It's got this little snap thing in front that I kind of do nervously when I'm not thinking about stuff. But then, you know, when I'm watching for a long time, I feel like I constantly have to adjust this thing because I want to make sure there's enough beads in my back that really support my neck. So, yeah, this one's fine. I mean, I use it, but maybe it could be better. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. This is the older version of the Nap Fun neck pillow. This one is not beaded. It's just kind of more airy inside. It's probably got this, that really kind of bouncy foam that's inside. The word is escaping me right now. Let's try it out, though. Okay, putting this neck pillow around my neck. Okay, I like it. It's a little bit sloped in the back. I constantly feel like I need to pick my head up a little bit. But what's nice about it, it's good for travel. It's got this snappable thing up front that I can always snap this to my suitcase or whatever else. My feeling of needing to adjust it for a lot of time isn't quite as much as the beaded Brookstone one, but still keeps me pretty comfortable. Okay, let's try the last one. And yes, this is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done on this podcast. 3 episodes in. Okay, this is the Nap Fun, the newest version that I got on Amazon. It was about $14 on Amazon Prime. Okay. Ooh, this is nice. This is my favorite one so far. This is like the Cadillac of neck pillows so far. It's very similar to the older version of the Nat Fun, but it feels a lot nicer. It looks a lot nicer. I feel a little bit hotter when I'm wearing this around the house, just ask my wife. But I think this is the winner. Yeah, this is going to keep me cozy. It's going to keep me nice and cool and fresh. It's good and fresh. Back to the program.
Try Nap Fun neck pillows. Don't be afraid to get cozy while sitting on your lazy ass today.
Crush that. Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah, I kind of miss my old school Game Boy. I remember my sister Andrea and I going to Europe when we were like 12, and we beat. It was it was a Super Mario Brothers. No, it wasn't Super Smash Brothers, but it was a Mario Brothers game that neither of us could beat. But like I think we both beat it the same day after like a 2.5 week long trip, which we were so bored. Which like you're in Europe, so like it's the most jaded thing ever to be bored in Europe. But
Right?
I miss my Game Boy.
There's I actually treated myself, it was a little bit before Christmas, to this little emulator console called a Mio Mini Plus. And it looks like a Game Boy, but it's got a full color screen and it can emulate anything from like the arcade systems, Atari systems, NES, Super Nintendo, all the way up to the PlayStation. So I have the whole library of Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, in my pocket at all times. It's pretty fucking amazing. And I like I keep it with me at all times. I'm like, I love having this thing, and it's like at any point I could pull this out and play a Genesis game, or I
Right.
could play Tetris
Yeah.
or whatever. It's my whole childhood right there in my pocket. And
You never know in this town when a random Steelers conversation is going to pop up. So like you're ready to go.
yeah, it's like, oh, excuse me, hold that thought. Beep,
Right.
beep, 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 beep. Like,
Right. See ya.
yes.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Wow. Times.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have like a lightning round of questions. You're going to be all over the place if you're ready for it.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Some improv 101. Okay, so I've been starting every lightning round by asking people the most obvious basic question. What is your favorite color?
Ooh, purple.
Hmm. Haven't had
Yeah,
that one yet. Has
it's
it
a
always
good
been
one.
purple?
It's I think as a kid I gravitated towards blue just because that's what boys were supposed to like.
Opposed to.
I also suspect Sonic the Hedgehog had something to do with that, but
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I don't know what it was that finally clicked with purple. I think it was a couple of factors, is like I guess it's supposed to be a popular manly color, but it's just, it's shifted over time, but also it's like a color associated with royalty, and the name Roy in French means king. I think it means royalty or king in another language or two, but
Never knew that. Wow.
those all kind of come together, and I was like, oh, okay, and I look good in purple.
Boom.
But black is a close second. I love black.
I've always liked black too. Like any car I've ever been interested in getting, I've wanted to get it in straight black. Same with like tennis shoes. I get a pair of like a new pair of running shoes every year, or just walking shoes, whatever. I always want them in black. I don't want them in any other color. That's a good one. Like
Yeah.
Prince, speaking of purple, like Prince like owns the color purple. Like
Yeah.
that's insane how big he got that he could just like claim a color as his own.
See now, and anybody that tries to say, "Oh, purple's a girly color," I'm like, not
Pretty
anymore.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick side tangent. We're getting our baby was delivered in a cesarean room. I think that's what they call it, the operating room, whatever. And like the nurse in charge of the baby after Arthur was born, apparently fucking loves Prince, and was wearing a fanny pack with like 4 to 5 different little pins, Prince pins. It was in purple, of course, and it said her name, and it just had all these Prince Pin. So that was like, I think that will always be associated with. Maybe I should sing
Wow.
Purple Rain to our baby and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's great. So I'm trying to think. You and I feel like we were in an elementary school class together because I was at Hyde Elementary for 3 years. Then I moved to
Mhm.
Brooks for fourth
Yeah.
grade. Do you remember? I think we were in fourth grade together. Do you remember our fourth grade
Yes.
teacher,
Yeah. Emilio?
Mrs.
That her
Emilio?
name?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I remember only like two things from that class. I remember learning about the Holmes mnemonic device. Do you remember what that's a mnemonic device for?
Was that the lakes?
The Great Lakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also remember her talking about wolverines, just the animal, a wolverine, the animal. And I remember
Okay.
raising my hand and saying something like, "Wolverines are really mean," and she responded like, "Yes, they're very vicious." That's like my only two memories from that class.
I don't think I think you have two more than I do.
I was going
So
to ask you if you remember anything from that
I
phase.
I really I remember her, but
She was nice. I
like
remember she was
yeah,
fun and energetic. Yeah.
yeah, she was a good teacher. But other than that, like I don't think I have anything that stands out from that year of my life.
Who did you have in fifth grade? Do we have Bite Singer together?
No, I had Ron Cohn.
Ron Cohn. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great. Now I remember him like he was a lot of fun. He was like super into comic books and X-Men and stuff. So we always had a lot to talk about. And he kind of reminded me of Uncle Joey from Full House.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and because he just everything he tried to make it fun and funny and silly. Um, but
That's good.
yeah, he was a good time.
That's good. That's kind of, I mean, now that I'm an educator of children, especially like that age, like I'm middle school, but it's like, it's not much different than fifth grade. You
Yeah,
just have to find ways to make it really silly and dumb. And it doesn't matter how too cool for school a kid is. If you put on a Pixar movie, their eyes are just like glued to the
yeah,
screen, you know,
yeah.
the way to do it. Um, do you remember in our senior year taking a Changing America class?
Yes, that was a cool class.
That might have been my favorite class I ever took all
Yeah,
through growing up with Miss
yeah,
Kennedy, correct?
yeah, yeah.
It was awesome. I love
That
that
was
so much.
I feel like that was the way to like that should be applied to teaching history in general. Like it really I don't know, it just was more engaged. I never liked history classes, but that one really stuck. And I think because a lot of history classes they don't talk about like I remember I'm not huge into the Beatles, but I remember her talking about like
Uh-huh.
incorporating pop culture moments too. And I feel like trying to present history as in here's all the things that were going on, not just the wars. Like that
Right.
just seems to be what history is. It's like in 18 blah blah blah, we
Right.
did this to this country. It's like,
Here's who died this year, who's who killed other people this year. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like
Uh-huh.
let's get the full picture. I love those things where they talk about that like um that there were still mammoths on Earth when they were building the pyramids and stuff. Like that's context you never get from from a general history
No.
class.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff that like here are the things that were happening at the same time. Yeah. Education, man. I think we're way off.
Yeah, I think so. And like kids that, I'm around all day, like they're learning about, they go from like the French and Indian War to the Civil War, which understandably these are things you have to know, I think, growing up in the United States. Like you got to be familiar with the Revolution and the Civil War, but like kids have no idea when when the Beatles were popular. You tell them like, "Oh, Taylor Swift's bigger than the Beatles." And they're like, "Who are the Beatles?" It's
Who?
yeah, exactly. Um
Yikes.
yeah, education has gone awry. Um So, speaking of being a kid, can you think of the first thing that you remember liking as a kid? Like, anybody could go way back on this, but like the first thing you remember being really into.
Hmm. Let's see. See, I'm not only am I bad at world history, I'm bad at my own history. Um, I I distinctly remember being super into um the show that was on Nickelodeon when I was a kid. It's like it's probably the earliest because it was probably before X-Men and Batman, the
Mm-hmm.
animated series is. Um,
Series.
it was called Eureka's Castle.
Wow, okay. That I remember the title of that. I remember nothing about what it's about though.
It was sort of I think they were all Muppet characters. Eureka was um like a female sorceress in this castle, and it was like a kid show. Like I think you learned things, and there was a bat that lived in one of the towers, and I think he wore like a super 90s like jumpsuit, um, to be hip for the 90s kids.
Sure.
There were two twins that lived in the well. They were like little Muppet things. Like I think they were Bog and Quagmire.
Okay.
There was a dragon. He was like really tall, like Big Bird. And he wore a real colorful shirt. And what was his name? Magellan, I think was his name.
Yeah. Oh man. If I Googled some Eureka's Castle, I feel like it would all come back to me.
Yeah, you'll have to like just look up the themes, like the theme song, because I think they show all the characters in that.
Yeah.
But I remember there were toys at um one of the fast food places. They were like hand puppets of the characters, but they were made of like hard rubber, so you couldn't really do any puppety things with them. But
Yeah.
I think it was the only toys I had from that show that I just was like super obsessed with. Um, but that's probably the earliest thing that I remember getting hardcore into. And since then, um, been into fantasy stuff, all Final Fantasy, Harry Potter,
Sure.
Percy Jackson, whatever. It just
Yeah.
stuck with me.
Can you think of something that you like now that maybe you did not like as as a kid or maybe even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Something you've changed your mind about.
Vegetables.
Mm, this is good.
As a kid,
I need to eat more vegetables. Please tell me what happened to change that.
man. Okay, so as a kid, I would not touch any vegetables, like maybe corn, like corn from a can, corn on the cob. That was as close to a vegetable as I would get. Um, Nowadays, I'm looking at menus and judging the dishes based on what comes in them, which a lot of like Asian restaurants, there's a lot of vegetables incorporated into the meals, but some of the menus don't tell you that. So it's like,
Mm,
okay, I could get this chicken in whatever, but I have no idea if it's just chicken. Is it
yeah.
chicken and mushrooms? Is it chicken and mixed vegetables? Whatever. But that, like, I distinctly remember my mom trying to force me to eat my vegetables, and it backfired hard because the vegetable she was forcing me to eat was green beans out of a can. And to
This is
this
just hitting
day,
close to home. Yeah.
I can't eat green beans. Like I'll eat them if they're like fresh and in a sauce with other stuff,
Yep.
but green beans out of a can, like just the smell of it will get my gag reflex going.
Yep. Like for
But
me, like an onion is like case in point for why I still struggle with vegetables because like you said, like I can't do raw onions, and especially if they're even if they're cooked, like something about like cooked onions that like sautéed onions that go onto like a cheesesteak, like I cannot stand that shit. It's like
really,
something about the texture of onions. Like green onions are fine because that to me that doesn't
yeah,
really count as an onion. Like I'm talking like
yeah.
red onions, I guess. But like if you put them in a soup and they're like completely watered down, like in a chicken noodle soup or something like that, like it doesn't even phase me. I'm totally fine with that. I think it's like textures is what I struggle with.
Is it the crunchiness of the onions that throws you off?
It depends on the context. Yes. Something
Okay.
about them just, but I love like the flavor of onions. So like
Yeah.
onion powder, I'm like, damn it, I really want to try to like this. See, I envy this. I wish I can be more like this because I know like if it's up to me, I'm going to raise my child to eat just like burgers and pizza and chicken nuggets his whole life. I can't do
I
that
also
anymore.
I love a good Pittsburgh salad. Um,
Steak
with
salad.
like, well, I don't eat beef anymore,
Oh, sure, yeah.
but I did used to really enjoy those. But I'll get them with chicken, and people always are weird about fries on a salad, but it's not a whole order of fries. It's usually
No,
like six French fries on a salad.
a little handful. Yeah.
Yeah. A hard-boiled egg, a couple different vegetables. I think that's a really good way to and cutting them small. I think some people, especially if you're like weird about texture, um, dicing your onions or whatever it is really small to like to see if you can get used to them might be a good way to trick yourself into it.
Hmm.
Especially since you recognize that you like the flavor. Like I'm sure there's some people out there that hate everything about it, the smell, the taste, the texture.
Right.
But and anytime someone says I don't like onion, I'm like most or garlic. That's the other thing people say all the time. Most recipes,
I
like
do like
savory
garlic, actually.
recipes, are going to start with those two.
Hmm.
Chop your garlic, chop your onions, and so it's I mean my partner hates onions. it's 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 a
Oh,
struggle.
I'm there, Chris. Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. I think I can. I think I can suck it up and start enjoying. I do eat kale, which I know that's like the
Oh,
most like millennial hipster thing to say. You don't eat kale. Interesting.
oh, I tried. I really did, but
Wow. Okay.
I can't do kale. I love. Have you ever had arugula?
Yes.
I love arugula. I love
Okay.
spinach. Um, I love a lot of the leafy things, but kale just is a little too. What's that line from Parks and Rec where they're like, "Hey, do you like spinach? This is like that, but worse." It's like
Yeah, basically.
spinach took a dump on cabbage or something.
The kale dancers come out. Doesn't like is it like a farmer has dancers? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so bitter.
Yeah. Um, that's good. Okay, switching gears a little bit. You're
Yes.
a stand-up comedian these days.
Hmm. Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
Oh goodness. Since I guess spring of 2023. So however many months that is.
Sure.
I graduated, quote unquote, from the class I took at Bottle Rocket Social Hall.
Stand Up 101.
Um,
Hmm.
when the hell was that?
Your performance was like last June or something like that, right?
What? Yeah, I think I always want to say June. I think it was June. Was when I like officially. I mean, not like I, wasn't. It's not like going to get your degree. But I finished that class in June of 2023. So been about 6 months or so.
Sure.
Um, and I've done mics all over town. I've been featured on a couple shows,
Yeah, you have.
um, couple paid gigs since then, which still blows my mind. Um, but everybody in the like Pittsburgh comedy scene has been really welcoming and really cool. Um, so it's been a lot of fun.
What's the thing that you get the most out of it that you really like?
I think I finally know who I am when I'm up on the stage. I feel like myself. I feel comfortable. I feel safe. And it's so funny because when I tell people that I'm doing this, 9 times out of 10, the first thing they say is, "Oh my gosh, you're so brave." Or, "Oh my God, that's terrifying." Or, "Oh, I could never do that." Or any combination of those. And I understand what they mean because it's not for everybody. Public speaking, they say, is the number one fear. And this is getting up and having your own material that you have written that you're hoping makes people laugh. But I get up there and like, yeah, I'm a little nervous before, like any performer will tell you, they probably are going to be nervous before a performance. But once I'm up there, it all melts away. Like
Hmm.
I'm just like, this right here, right now is where I belong. This is what I like doing. And it's been great to find that. Like and I keep telling people in my life, I'm like, I want you to find your thing.
Hmm.
I waited such a long time to get in this. I've had people for years tell me, you should do stand up, you should do comedy, you're so funny, blah blah. And I thought, people say that to any coworker that can do a good Borat impression. So you kind of
My
take it with,
wife. Right.
yeah, you kind of take it with a grain of salt. It's like, oh, you're just being nice. But I started to, get better at recognizing that, like, as a writer, I'm always putting some kind of humor or wit into what I write. And I'm like, okay, so this isn't a big leap to go
Mhm.
from writing funny stuff to writing funny stuff that I plan to say in front of people.
Right.
Um, the one big difference is when you're writing, you usually aren't restrained. You're just writing and writing and writing.
Uh-huh.
And with this, it's like, okay, I got to cut this down to 3, 5, whatever minutes. Um, but it's all of that to say it has been such a good time, and figuring out what I like and what I'm good at is priceless, really.
Man, I feel that hard, Roy, because I mean, I've been doing like I've been putting my own music out into the world for 4 or 5 years now, and it took me to get to age 30 to do that, which I still find kind of strange. I think I'll always feel strange. Like most musicians that I collaborate with, that I'm around all the time, they're all like 5 to 10 years younger than me. Which like it's never too late, of course, but it took me a while to build up the confidence and like the awareness to realize that I need something like this. Like you said, when you get up on stage, that like you everything melts away. Like you have figured out this is the thing, because that's exactly how I feel when I'm like even just like sitting in my attic with my guitar writing a song. I like nothing makes me feel more present and more just like this is the thing. Um,
And I think that, like what you said about like waiting this long, and that's what I kept coming back to myself, like, why did you wait this long? Why did you wait this long? And I think it comes down to, it's not that I waited, it's that I wasn't ready yet. The circumstances in my life, me as a person, so many factors, I was not in a place where I could have or should have done it. Because I think about now, okay, let's say 10 years ago, I decided I'm going to do stand up. Well, I was living with my parents who, weren't great people. I was, um, depending on how long ago we're going, finishing college, trying to figure out a job, and all of these other things that I was trying to do. I did not have the time commitment. I didn't have, like, driving all over town and putting myself out there. I did not have the time, the money, the resources. Um, I was not there mentally or emotionally either to
mhm.
do this kind of stuff, because I think about like some of these open mics that I've gone to where nobody's listening, nobody's laughing. If I weren't who I am now with all the
Uh-huh.
work that I've done on myself, I would have had one bad night and been like, well, I tried, that's it,
Yep.
done.
Yep. I
And that would
failed
have been
and
the end
yeah.
of it.
Hmm.
So I think, and that's why I try to tell people is like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if somebody is half your age and they're doing what you want to do. And the thing I always think about is like when people point out, like, Oprah was 40 when she got big, and Julia Child was almost 50, and all these people who got big
Uh-huh.
later than people tell us we're supposed to. But like,
Right.
we're all in a different timeline, and it just doesn't matter. What matters is that you just do it. It
Yep.
doesn't matter if you've waited. It doesn't matter. Just, if it's time, if you feel ready, then do it. If
Yeah.
not, see where you can get work on it. You'll get
Hmm.
there.
Hmm. Between you and me and Benny, we've been keeping in touch since high school, and I think the three of us in our own ways have discovered our thing. Like each of us has just like we're all kind of in this communicative entertainment kind of fringe thing that we're all into, but you're right. Like the fact that it does not matter that we discovered this at age 36 as opposed to 26 or 16. Like we found the thing. And
Yeah.
like that's a lot of people don't. A lot of people just don't find that thing or they're
Yeah.
afraid to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk about this for like another hour, but we have 6 more minutes left on this Zoom call,
Okay.
which means I should probably upgrade to unlimited Zoom or something. I have
Yeah.
one final question,
Yes.
and I've been a big fan of this question and the fact that I even thought of it too. Can you think of what is your favorite physical location on planet Earth? Like, don't just give me a general city like Pittsburgh. or like New York or something. Can you think of like a favorite, your coordinates favorite spot?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Um,
Take your time.
Take your time, but we have 6 minutes.
Yeah, no pressure.
Um, wow. There's so many places I haven't been. It's hard to. Well, okay, here's my overthinking brain in action. Um, my favorite place to be is with people I love. That maybe that's too meta for you.
Mhm.
But it really doesn't matter to me. I used to get caught up in the like New Year's Eve. Where are we going to spend New Year's Eve? We got to go somewhere cool and fun. But no, it doesn't matter. And I think that's part of like the social media is doing to us is just like, oh, look, these people who like post constantly from beaches and beautiful places. Like, do you work? Do you do you ever have other things to do?
And is that
Um,
really making you happy doing that? Or are
yeah,
you just like
but
showing people
it's
that like, yeah,
it's fake. It's all fake.
yeah,
You take a 500,000 pictures while you're on vacation and you just post them for the rest of the year. Um, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to be on a beach in some gorgeous place if like if you're with a family that you don't want to be with, or you're with a partner that treats you like garbage.
hmm
It it's so much more important to me who I'm with than where I am. Um, yeah. I mean, I love Greece, don't get me wrong, but if I had gone with my family like I had originally planned to years and years ago, I'd probably hate Greece.
yeah, yeah. But
um, it's about the people, and
that's
because
a good
like
twisted answer.
no
Yeah,
matter where I am, if I'm surrounded by good people and I'm working on being happy with who I am, because that's where I am all the time. So working on being happier with the body I'm stuck in, the person I'm with all the time.
yeah.
Um, but until then, yeah, I'm glad to have quality company.
Roy Gleckel, thank you for being on this podcast.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure.
My pleasure. I keep various neck pillows strategically placed throughout my house. I have one in the TV den basement. I have one in my bedroom. I should probably get one in my son Artie's room, his nursery, because heaven knows I've been spending some time in there the last couple months. Let me tell you, getting that beautiful kid to fall asleep is a wonderful challenge, I must say. I mean, during the day, he's great. He can nap when you want him to. He can leave his friends behind.
Say the rhyme for me one more time.
But at night, different story. My guy wakes up just about every 15 to 20 minutes between the hours of 8 p.m. and midnight to either cry, use his diaper, euphemism, to feed, or sometimes all the above at once. Just ask my wife. It's wonderful, really. Yeah, I mean, he's 2 weeks old at this point, and yes, it could be a bit frustrating when you're changing his diaper while he shriek screams death tones from the deepest crevices of Satan's butthole into both ears. But it does feel worth it, as cliched as that sounds. I mean, we just love knowing that we're taking care of our baby, our very own baby. Now, Artie's not the only baby we have in our house. We also have our cat, Peggy. She's about to be 9 years old this year, which in cat years I know probably puts her in her mid-50s as a human. But to Beth and I, she's our baby too. She always will be. See, when we adopted Peggy in 2015, my wife and I were going through a lot of growing pains. We were young in our mid to late 20s. We'd already been married for about 5 years, but still were learning about who we were as adults, you know? It's just hard. And let me say, it was a hard time. But adopting Peggy as a kitten during that time really helped us weather a lot of storms. I mean, we got that cat during a very difficult era in our lives. Because of that time and a few other trying periods since, our affection for Peggy has only grown in the most lovely way possible. When my wife got sick from Crohn's disease, Peggy was right there by her side, literally every night falling asleep together. During the pandemic, Peggy was there. During Beth's pregnancy, right there. You know, people say cats have this like innate ability to act kind of like a medium between our real world and alternate realities, and sometimes there seems to be some truth to that. Peggy just has this ability where she just knows. She knows when we need her, when we need love and comfort and peace, when she knows a change is about to take place, and in between her crazy-ass bouts of craziness of biting and running around the house, she cozies up to us when it's needed absolutely most. And it might be stupid to say because she's a cat, but Beth and I have been legitimately nervous about bringing our human son home from the hospital. I know most people are, but, we have too. We honestly had no idea how Peggy would react to this. Would she react like she does around most other humans besides us and absolutely freak out and hiss at them? Or would she do the opposite? Would she show warmth and affection? We didn't know. We still don't quite know, to be honest. But we're going to try to warm the two of them up to each other as much as we can. Because they're both our babies. And as long as they're living, our babies they'll be. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's past midnight right now, and my wife is sitting on the glider about to fall asleep nursing her baby, so I'm going to go search the house for a neck pillow she can use. Well, looks like that's our show. What did we learn today? Well, not much, I guess. Just that if someone invented a device that I could place around my neck 24/7, in which a neck pillow can inflate and deflate when I need it, well, count me into that focus group in a heartbeat. Until next time. Haha, get it? Next time? Oh boy. Until next time, take care there. And just know, you don't need to be afraid of change anymore. Just take it from Peggy. Peggy's Big Change, a children's story by Mark and Beth Jeffries. Peggy the cat lived in a quaint old city home. Her mom and dad's love for her they made constantly known. She grew up in their arms, they drove her home when she was born, and every day she felt safe, well-fed and adored. She was the queen of her castle, Peggy ruled her domain. The kitchen in the sunlight, the basement when it rained, the living room couches with head scratches and naps, the lazy boy recliners with their warm, cozy laps. Peggy couldn't be happier with her life gone this way. But one day she noticed that her home began to change. A fresh coat of paint, a rocker, a crib, baby blankets and shoes, rattles, bottles, and bibs. She noticed her mommy had a belly that grew. That warm, cozy lap now had less and less room. She noticed her daddy assembling cribs and car seats. He had less and less time for play boxes and treats. When Peggy noticed her parents making room for one more, she wondered, am I still safe, well-fed and adored? Mom and Dad's bags were packed on a quiet Christmas night, and by the tree she heard them whisper, the timing is right. She was left all alone, 3 nights and 3 days. This old city house now felt chilly and strange, until a gray wintry day, when walked through the front door, Mom, Dad, and their joy bundles screaming up a storm. Peggy saw her brand new baby brother face to face, and her deep fear took over. Am I being replaced? The longest week of her life, the visitors, the cries, that unfamiliar warmth in Mommy and Daddy's eyes. Peggy resisted at first. She recoiled and hissed. One could even say that Peggy was pissed. How could they, she thought? We had such a great thing. What good could such a big change like this bring? But after keeping her distance, Peggy started thinking back about that very first drive snuggled on Mommy's lap. Back then she was a baby just like this little bundle, joyful and innocent, never causing any trouble. This baby and I, Peggy started to see, we have lots more in common than I wished to believe. We both like head scratches. We both like long naps. We both like recliners with warm, cozy laps. So Peggy that day realized she can choose to welcome this little bundle instead of refuse. It may take a while for her to share her domain, but Mommy and Daddy still love her, and that will never change.
Say a little prayer.
The DiLisio Likes Things podcast, starring Mark Jeffries as DiLisio and Peggy as herself. Today's episode was written, directed, produced, recorded, and edited by Mark Jeffries, including all original music by DiLisio. Follow DiLisio on Spotify, Instagram, and Facebook to keep up with all of his latest music. And please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the DiLisio Likes Things podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.